As we've shown, the city of Santa Monica, New Hampshire faces drastic problems. We seek to solve those problems by restructuring the city. A major part of this restructure will be the separation of the airport from the city. There will remain some joint authority in the form of elected officials who sit on both the newly created Airport Commission and the City Council simultaneously. However, there will also be members of the Airport Commission who are elected by the city at large. This will prevent a minority of citizens from unduly influencing the development of the airport, as they did in the last election. We recommend that the city use New Hampshire law to create a special purpose entity for the airport to operate within. A special purpose entity is like a cross between a sovereign government and a trust. It can make its own procedures and rules, and it is exempt from taxes. The city will have the right to revoke the special purpose entity and return the airport to city management in drastic circumstances. However, for the most part, the airport will be on its own. We believe that this will create the incentive to make profit that will not only help the airport pay its debts and make money, but which will also benefit the businesses and tax revenue of the city. Making the airport an independent authority is also in keeping with the recommendations of the United Nations International Civil Aviation Organization. Further, separating the city and airport budgets will bring the airport into compliance with FAA rules prohibiting the diversion of revenue from airports into municipal funds. Within this special purpose entity, the airport will create its own hierarchy. We find a hierarchical organization necessary both to comply with best practices defined under the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission, and also to serve the practical consideration that an airport must function securely and have a clear chain of command. The citizens of the city will remain at the top of this hierarchy, as they elect the airport's governing body, the Airport Commission. The Airport Commission will have freely elected members, and also members from City Council, and they will have the final authority on all decisions made on the airport's behalf. They will hire the airport administrator, who will serve as the executive director of the airport, and who will also make frequent reports to the board to ensure transparency. The administrator will delegate most day-to-day tasks to specialized subordinates and will focus on growing the airport into a profitable enterprise, while making sure that it acts within the pertinent laws and regulations. We plan to continue the rational goal model on which our redesign of the city is based. As such, the formal structure of the airport organization will be arranged to best serve specific customer and community needs. These are the goals of the airport. The airport, like the city, will be externally focused on these services. Because the airport is a security-sensitive operation, it will be internally focused on control. We want to optimize direct supervision while encouraging effective communication among employees for the safety of passengers and each other. We also want to emphasize the span of control principle, in that we want executives to have fewer specialized roles to oversee. We will group these roles according to the homogeneity principle of grouping similar tasks. The practical day-to-day business of the airport will be handled by 3 directors, one for operations, one for finance and administration, and one for public and governmental relations. The director of operations will actually run the airport. His subordinates include the chief of public safety, the flights manager, the senior information technology officer, and the facilities and maintenance coordinator. And they will focus on the business for which the airport is intended, getting passengers and cargo in and out in an efficient and safe manner. The Director of Finance and Administration, along with their subordinate, the Human Resources Officer, will handle all business internal to the airport. In this sense, our airport organizational structure mirrors our city organizational structure. Both make clear divisions between groups of employees who deal with customers and thus create value actively, and those who do not deal with customers and who thus create value passively, mainly through efficient management of resources. The third director, the Director of Public and Government Relations, will be particularly important in the early stages of the independent airport, as it seeks to develop relationships with airlines and vendors, and as the relationship between the city and the Airport Commission clarifies. The Director of Public and Government Relations will be charged with calming the tensions the airport has created, and will also help give the Airport Commission functionality. Hence, that director is unencumbered by subordinates and other duties. An independent airport will have to pay for itself. It will no longer be able to leech city resources, such as yearly contributions to the airport fund and use of police and fire services. However, since the airport will not have to deal with the tensions created between public employee unions and large elected governments, it will have more flexibility in negotiating pay and benefits for employees, which will hopefully save it more money. For the same reasons, it will have more flexibility in negotiating contracts with vendors and airlines. A large government with many issues on its plate cannot maneuver quickly enough to attract lucrative contracts to the airport, nor can it maintain budgetary transparency, as evidenced by the current city budget. The airport executive staff, backed by the authority of the Airport Commission, will. To begin paying for itself, the airport must have a seed fund. We propose to create this by having the Airport Commission make a public bond offering, in which investors will buy promissory notes for repayment with interest after a fixed term. The operational expenses of the airport must be addressed too. The increased staff suggested by our plan will be expensive, but may be offset by a few revenue-creating measures. First, we suggest that the airport apply for the Essential Air Service Program, which provides airport subsidies for underserved areas of the country. Second, we suggest the airport renegotiate cost-sharing plans with the airlines so that they can share 50% of flight expenses. Third, we suggest starting to charge the $4.50 per passenger facility fee that the FAA allows. Fourth, we suggest that the airport take measures to attract freight airline traffic. Fifth, we suggest the airport lease the parking garage for use to a specialized vendor and begin charging a per car per day fee for rental cars. Finally, we suggest the development of an industrial park around the airport in order to attract businesses to the area and insulate the surrounding neighborhoods from airport operations. While there is no way to tell exactly how much revenue such measures will bring in, revenue will certainly increase over time and make the airport attractive to businesses in the future. We believe that making the airport more organizationally and fiscally functional is in the best interest of the city government and the citizens of Santa Monica.